¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? Bueno, aquí queremos pues presentarles. ¿Cuál es tu nombre?
Gabriela.
Gabriela, de parte de nuestro equipo de Omina. Cuéntanos como qué tal ha sido tu experiencia ayudando en este gran proyecto.
Bueno, maravilloso, súper enriquecedor. Como voluntarias pues hemos ayudado sin ningún fin, con puro amor, pero la verdad que por el país, por Costa Rica, por dejar en alto a nuestro país, y bueno, ha sido maravilloso. Y bueno, un evento súper increíble, súper enriquecedor, donde hemos aprendido de todo y hemos conocido a mucha gente especial como ustedes también.
Ay, así es, Gabriela, de verdad. ¿Y qué significa la sostenibilidad para vos?
Bueno, sostenibilidad es una palabra que ahora tenemos que usarlas todos. Tenemos que tenerla aquí presente. Sostenibilidad es todo, hasta yo creo que en el modo de pensar, crear un mundo nuevo, un nuevo sin basura, hasta reciclar, sostener todo lo que podamos en un nuevo ambiente, que podamos hacerlo, como dicen, todo green, todo nuevo, todo bueno.
Así es, muchísimas gracias. Te dejo seguir trabajando porque estamos
a ustedes.
Con mucho gusto porque estamos aquí en el tercer día. Okay, perfect. Ahora te voy a entrevistar a vos.
Okay, yo sí, por eso me vine, porque no tengo...
Como usted desapareció cada vez y yo sé tu nombre y se me olvidó Gabriela. Pero no importa, igual les tengo que preguntar a todos, ¿cómo te llamas así? ¿Estás pobre? No.
Vos empezaste.
It looks like we're going to be interviewing some more people.
Yeah, of course, María Celeste. Come on here, please. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, Patricia.
Veniste a hablarnos del stand-up.
El stand que tenemos con la Verita, sí. Ahí tenemos, bueno, la colección de mi proyecto de grado, que me inspiré en las abejas y las orquídeas, y ahí tengo como algunos productos que pronto voy a sacar como a la venta, y aquí traje como ciertos materiales que utilicé, que fueron como poliéster hecho con base en botellas reciclables o también en fibras naturales, y al igual que hice accesorios y trabajé con un material de los indígenas de la zona acá de acá de nuestro país, entonces para que puedan pasar más tarde también a verla.
No, claro que sí. ¿Y hasta qué hora vas a estar para que estemos?
Hasta las 7 y 7:30 de la noche.
7 y 7:30, perfecto. Y bueno, hoy viniste con un outfit diferente y quiero que me contes un poquito acerca de...
Claro, a mí me encanta siempre andar como piezas que de verdad se vean como trabajadas, que tengan valor, más que todo tejidas. Y también siempre con los accesorios, aretes que sean sean artesanales. Entonces ahí como traje un poquito y también me encanta andar en los mercados, ahí es donde está la esencia de la cultura de los lugares. Entonces también los bolsos de los mercados, por eso siempre ando.
Sí, siempre te he visto, muy lindo, por cierto. A ver si nos lo pueden mostrar.
Sí, este es el de poliéster.
Ay, lindísimo, me
Acá
encanta.
también está como uno de los accesorios, que este es el mastata de los indígenas.
Lindo, no, de verdad, espectacular. María Celeste, y bueno, como diseñadora, ¿qué pensás de este outfit que traigo puesto, que es de Piñatex? ¿Qué sentís al ver estas cosas? O sea, ¿te gustaría en un futuro, pues, imitar, verdad, de todas estas innovaciones y estas ideas, tecnologías que están surgiendo ahora en la industria de la moda?
Claro, me encanta, o sea, yo veo y cuando vi esa colaboración me parece increíble porque así las personas ven que sustainability is cool, de verdad. Entonces, tal vez la gente al ver que de verdad es algo súper cool, súper diferente, la gente va a decir, ok, sí, vamos a apostar por esa moda. Porque además de que ser amigable con el ambiente, estamos ayudando a una economía que está creciendo fuertemente, por dicho.
Claro que sí, me encanta hablar contigo, María Celeste, muchas gracias. Y volvemos con Patrick, por aquí. Hey, okay. Yeah, that was amazing. Please come on. Aquí, por favor, pasa. ¿Cómo estás el día de hoy? Emocionada.
Bien, ¿vos?
Muy bien, por dicha. ¿Cuál es tu
Me
nombre?
alegro. María Guzmán, yo soy la diseñadora de usted. Ya tenemos 3 años de estar en el mercado nacional. Esperamos expandirnos próximamente afuera. Ya hemos realizado un par de exportaciones. Todos los textiles que trabajamos son de origen natural. Y estamos trabajando con una licra que traemos de Brasil, que el 85% del material es reciclado y es 100% reciclable. A largo plazo, todos los prints también son de diseño propio, trabajamos diseño de autor, no nos enfocamos en seguir tendencias, sino en crear todo un concepto de diseño, un estilo minimalista, femenino, para uso urbano. Es más que todo son colecciones por el clima en que vivimos, pueden clasificarse como dentro de un resort collection constantemente. Siempre estamos innovando, trayendo nuevos productos, todos los textiles los estamos trayendo de Latinoamérica. El enfoque de nosotros es regional. Traemos de Perú, trabajamos con cooperativas de mujeres en Perú, con fibras de viscosa, a partir de maderas recicladas, de Brasil y de Argentina.
Wow, me encanta. ¿Y dónde puedo encontrar tus piezas?
Contamos con un estudio propio en San Pedro de Montes de Oca, acá. Estamos trabajando actualmente en actualizar la página web también. Nuestro estudio, lo lindo es que es una casa de 100 años que ha pertenecido a la familia, entonces también mantenemos como esa historia nacional dentro del proyecto.
Oh, qué bonito, de verdad, le pones mucho corazón a tu trabajo, ¿sí? ¿Y en qué te inspiraste para...?
Generalmente la inspiración son mixtas, yo no trabajo colecciones cerradas, trabajo colecciones abiertas, entonces puede ser un elemento que me voy inspirando en diferentes objetos. En este caso, en toda esta nueva colección, las últimas piezas han estado inspiradas un poco en Tarsila o Amaral, no tanto en su obra, sino más en su estilo. Era de los años 20, entonces son cortes fluidos, prendas cómodas, prendas que sirvan para trabajar en un atelier de arte, que representen a una mujer más independiente.
Muy bien, muchísimas gracias. Bienvenida, Omina, por favor, pase por aquí, puede ir sentándose. Y bueno, one more.
Yeah, one more.
Yeah.
And after her,
Yeah.
we could talk a little bit about the swap today that's happening.
Of course.
I want to
I
swap
can't
this with
wait.
you.
Yeah, me too. Ok, pase adelante, por favor. No, de verdad que aquí mucha gente linda por acá. Bien, ¿y vos? Aquí nos conocemos, pero te quiero preguntar tu nombre para que la demás gente sepa.
Mi nombre es Magali Cubillos y tengo una marca de ropa deportiva que se llama Cotillo Activewear.
Sí, ¿y en qué, digamos, por qué decidiste participar en Omina?
Decidimos participar porque creo que es una plataforma importante a nivel internacional para poder exponer nuestra marca como diseño nacional, básicamente.
¿Y has venido todos los días?
Sí, hemos venido todos los días, estamos en el market también, entonces como que junto con mi socia nos turnamos para escuchar las charlas. Hoy me tocó a mí, hoy ella está en el stand.
Sí, ¿qué es lo que más te ha gustado, digamos? ¿Qué es lo que has, digamos, retenido de todo de este aprendizaje, de este foro?
Creo que lo más importante es tener la conciencia de cada una de las personas que están creando productos sostenibles a nivel internacional. Eso nos inspira a nosotras para poder pensar en una nueva colección o poder concientizar a la gente realmente para que use productos sostenibles.
Y hablando de nuevas colecciones, ¿están ahorita trabajando en una nueva colección? O sea, ¿cuál es el siguiente proyecto?
Ahorita estamos con la colección que se llama Costa Rica, está inspirada en símbolos emblemáticos de Costa Rica como la carreta, tenemos una licra de café de Costa Rica, la basílica, los tucanes, que es algo así súper lindo del país, y estamos trabajando en una nueva línea que también sigue la línea de Costa Rica, pero un poco más inspirado en las personas, en escuchar a las personas cuando nos hablan de un diseño. Entonces que queremos que sea más verde, queremos que sea más azul, queremos que esté enfocado en tiburones, por ejemplo, entonces vienen algunas inspiradas en escuchar a las personas que nos están pidiendo un producto.
No, muy bien, me encanta. ¿Y qué significa la sostenibilidad para vos? O sea, que si pudieras decir algo, como una palabra.
Conciencia. Creo que es para mí conciencia y respeto para el ser humano.
Buenísimo, te dejo pasar para que puedas disfrutar de nuestro tercer día. Muchas gracias, encantada de tenerte por aquí. Tenemos una próxima entrevista.
What?
Do you have another interview from another
more
guest?
interviews.
No more
Everybody's getting
interviews?
so excited
Okay.
about today's content program, but maybe
Yeah.
I can tell you a little bit about the swap. that's
Please
happening.
tell me, we want to know.
Okay, so it's the biggest swap in all of Costa Rica that's happening today, the GFX swap party. And what that means is you're going to come and you're going to come and they're going to come and we're all going to come together and we're going to bring the clothing that we don't wear anymore and we're going to make a swap party out of it. So we actually get an opportunity to extend the life of our clothing, keep it out of landfills, and walk out with something new and fantastic. Doesn't that sound great?
It's great. I'm actually bringing a cool shirt.
I can't wait to see what
I
you're
already
doing.
know what I'm bringing. Take
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, so maybe tell me what have you been seeing at your favorite outfit? Tell me about your favorite outfit that you've seen.
Piñatex, of course, the one that I'm wearing.
Yes.
This is my favorite outfit from all the 3 days. Like all three are awesome, but really, I really feel it's very comfy, you know,
How does
and
it
it's so
feel?
good. It's not heavy, it's not warm. It's really comfy, and I really like the texture, and also like the details, you know, as you can see. Yeah, it's
Designer that made this.
Andrea Kader.
Okay, and
She recently graduated from Parsons.
Okay, great, cool. I hope to get my hands on some Piñatex. So.
Yeah, of course. And the shoes from Pamela Cruda is a national brand. So like, yeah, she's amazing too. So I feel like, yeah, very happy to be able to wear these amazing
Would you guys like
pieces.
to be interviewed on camera?
Yeah,
Let's do
claro,
it.
yeah.
Fantastic. You look beautiful today. Welcome back to the Omina Summit Conference.
Sí, linda. Por eso te voy a preguntar primero, ¿por qué decidiste lucir este outfit tan lindo para venir a Omina?
Muchísimas gracias. Bueno, este outfit realmente es parte de mi marca. Yo tengo una tienda vintage y de ropa rediseñada, es como urban chic, que se llama Me Extraña. Y esto es una prenda hecha a partir de un huipil guatemalteco que fue usado por una mujer guatemalteca. Nosotros reutilizamos estas telas y les hacemos una transformación a las prendas. Entonces esto fue cortado y fue modificado y esto es una prenda vintage. Entonces es una combinación entre prendas vintage y prendas rediseñadas. Todo mi outfit, digamos, yo todo lo que uso es reutilizado.
Me encanta, ¿no? Buenísimo. ¿Y por qué decidiste participar en Omina Market?
Bueno, porque yo de hecho soy parte del Omina Market, porque yo tengo una marca sostenible, más bien así lo diríamos. Tengo una marca sostenible en donde todas las prendas son reutilizadas, entonces estamos bajando de esta manera la huella de carbono, ¿verdad?
Y cuando escuchamos estadísticas como que hacer una t-shirt conlleva a usar la cantidad de agua que una persona consume en 3 años, que son estadísticas que realmente son alarmantes y que cuando uno las dice todo el mundo hace como una cara de sorpresa. ¿Qué piensas acerca de esto como diseñadora?
Claro, yo creo que eso son datos de los cuales no hemos estado conscientes hasta que se están arrojando esos datos muy recientemente, con todo un despertamiento sobre lo que se trata la sostenibilidad, ¿verdad? Y lo que nosotros hacemos precisamente es reducir esa huella. Nosotros decimos, bueno, ¿para qué vamos a producir productos a partir, digamos, de materia prima sacada del medio ambiente cuando ya existe esa materia prima? Entonces la vamos a reutilizar. Yo creo que lo que estamos creando en plataformas como el Omina Market y otras plataformas que se están dando paralelas a estas es precisamente concientizar a la gente. Digamos, no se trata solamente de reutilizar, hay muchas maneras de hacer sostenibilidad, pero esta por lo menos es una alternativa y una posibilidad que nosotros tenemos para reducir nuestra huella de carbono y hacer nuestro aporte en la sostenibilidad mundial, ¿verdad?
Así es, bueno, ya va a comenzar, te voy a dejar pasar. Me encanta tu collar que dice pura vida, muy de nuestro país. Te dejo pasar porque ya vamos a iniciar. Sí, y nos toca despedirnos en este tercer día. Ha sido una experiencia maravillosa estar con ustedes, poderles transmitir todo lo que está pasando aquí al inicio, la alegría de nuestros invitados, mucha gente importante que nos acompaña, el equipo. Patrick, he came all the way from New York. It's been amazing. Thank you so much for all your help. Meeting you is awesome, and I can't wait for your party tonight.
Thank you. I can't wait to swap some t-shirts with you.
Thank
Bye, guys.
you.
Thank you.
Give me a
Omina
kiss.
Summit. Omina Summit.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Ask you any tough questions today. I didn't fuck up today. I didn't fuck up. You're so good. You really should be doing this for a living.
I really want to.
Good morning. We are soon to begin day 3 of Omina 2018. We kindly ask you to take your seats. Thank you. For your social media posts and pictures, use the following hashtags: Omina 2018, Omina Summit, Omina Costa Rica, Sustainable Fashion and Living, and follow us as Omina Summit. We're looking forward to getting started. Please take your seats for Day 3 of Omina Summit 2018. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please bring your attention to the screen for a message from one of our proud sponsors, FIFCO.
A finales de 2016, en FIFCO definimos nuestras metas para los próximos 4 años. Queremos llegar al 2020 sabiendo que mejoramos el mundo que ocupamos. Con esta visión del futuro nos hemos propuesto para el 2020 7 compromisos con la sociedad, completar 1 millón de horas de voluntariado, participando a nuestros proveedores, clientes y consumidores, alcanzar 90 puntos en el índice de liderazgo, Great Place to Work, promover el consumo inteligente e integral de todos nuestros productos, inspirándonos en estilos de vida saludables para nuestro portafolio de bebidas y alimentos. Erradicar la pobreza en FIFCO, extendiendo nuestro programa FIFCO Oportunidades a Guatemala y Estados Unidos. Generar valor positivo para el medio ambiente en residuos, agua y emisiones de carbono. Llegar a un 100% de reciclaje de los envases colocados en el mercado. Por último, queremos que las marcas de FIFCO sean lo más livianas posibles para la sociedad y el medio ambiente. A esta estrategia le llamamos FIFCO Air Brands y propone que para el 2020 nuestras marcas principales sean tan ligeras como el aire. Durante su ciclo de vida, procuraremos que no generen ninguna huella ambiental o social negativa, sino que más bien produzcan valor positivo para el mundo. Cuando una marca de FIFCO se convierte en Air Brand y se certifica como tal, esto significa que no solo es una marca que no genera carbono ni desechos y cuida el agua, sino que además genera valor positivo social en las comunidades, los colaboradores, los consumidores y demás públicos de interés. 2 de nuestras marcas ya se están encaminando a ser Air Brands. Recientemente, nuestra cerveza imperial alcanzó el estado de agua positivo y nuestro hotel, Westin Golf Resort and Spa Playa Conchal, alcanzó el estado de carbono positivo. ¿Cómo medimos este impacto? Creamos un índice de sostenibilidad de marca que mide el impacto ambiental y social actual de las marcas de FIFCO para entender a dónde estamos. Año con año la marca irá mejorando su puntuación, reduciendo cada una de sus huellas hasta lograr compensarlas y posteriormente generar valor positivo para el año 2020. Poco a poco todas nuestras marcas seguirán esta visión, de modo que en nuestro trabajo diario y con cada uno de nuestros productos podamos compartir entre nosotros y con el mundo una mejor forma de vivir.
I begin with the human being. His relationship with what surrounds us, with the environment. When the spirit and the mind express it through a layer over the body. My work is to interpret and create these layers. A human body in balance with the city, the metropolis, and nature. This is what I think Brazil can really bring to the world. The energy of our people and our natural resources. Preserving this wealth is the responsibility we have been given. It's a choice between further exploitation or preservation.
We realize we must do that for the ocean. That the world we want. A nossa sustentabilidade está em nossas próprias mãos.
We are talking about innovation.
O desenvolvimento sustentável. E a gente discuta muito mais do que é possível fazer. Represent the people from Rio, the people from Brazil, and the people from the world.
I consider Oscar my communication platform. It is an integrated perception of nature, culture, and society, associated with a sophisticated aesthetic. It's where I express values such as the pursuit of sustainable development and the concept of the new luxury. The new luxury represents a lifestyle compatible with sustainability values. It's a way of being that is the contrary of exhibitionism. The new luxury consists of assigning sophisticated design to sustainable materials, bringing together the aesthetics with ethics, which is the sophistication of sustainable material. The fabrics have the intention of communicating and representing these values. It's made by materials whose origin and production process respect a fair trade criteria and sustainable development.
Recycled cotton comes from the reuse of textile waste, fabrics and knits that would be discarded by the industry. The recycling process, which eliminates dyeing and reduces water consumption. The water used in the dyeing processes returns to the rivers free of chemicals and with the appropriate pH. The use of this material promotes upcycling, helps to clean the planet, and to generate jobs. Fabrics made from recycled cotton are an industry alternative to avoid environmental pollution. Pirarucu is Brazil's largest freshwater fish. It's a fish destined basically for food. Its skin is often dismissed as junk. Its leather has a greater resistance than bovine leather, although it's thinner and softer. The capture of pirarucu is done consciously and not predatory, with respect to environmental laws and breeding periods of species. It contributes to the formation of associations of small colonies of fishermen, stimulating the generation of jobs and allowing a 30% increase in the income obtained by these small producers.
Nosso trabalho é assim, eu venho com os conceitos, experiências, penso às vezes em textura, em cores, em formas, uma experiência emocional que eu tive, ou uma viagem, elementos que eu vou trazendo.
Isso aqui é o começo. Tem um começo que a equipe ainda está na outra coleção e eu e o Oscar já estamos aqui. E, na verdade, a gente usa o caderno, eu acho que o caderno é muito mais um espaço para sensibilidade, assim, é o que a palavra, o que não cabe na palavra está aqui, né?
Então já é uma troca real estética entre nós, onde compartilha, sabe, formas, elementos, você vê cores, texturas. E a partir disso, quando entra no consenso, né, Ju, parte para a definição do que é a coleção e da construção dela. E essas trocas vão acontecendo durante o processo, depois do desenho ainda, da Juliana, ao processo de desenvolvimento com o restante da equipe de design de moda. Começa a haver uma troca e uma construção dos elementos com uma direção de estilo minha, de conceito, estilo e direção de arte, mas uma direção de design de moda, de linguagem de moda da Juliana. E esse encontro nosso, esse trabalho nosso, ele cria uma bela poesia.
The fiber of natural silk is a continuous threading of a protein produced by the caterpillar of certain kinds of moths. Unlike its industrial production, the artisan growth of cocoons is made in plantations where there's no use of agrotoxics. And natural pigments from the Brazilian biodiversity are used. The different color shades make the product become a unique piece, exclusive and non-reproductive. Regaining the artisan techniques, where the threading is made in natural forms, the process of making income to the communitary groups is much easier, making it suitable to the parameters of social responsibility and environmental respect.
Aqui meu ateliê tem uma mistura do meu trabalho de arte, meu trabalho de design e meu trabalho ligado às questões sustentáveis, ambientais. Uma coisa puxa a outra. Meu gestual como artista são a síntese de um conceito ou de uma experiência. Você vê que eu não trabalho assim diretamente com a moda. Aqui são os conceitos, as experiências, os meus gestos como arte, minha sensibilidade. Daqui que sai conceito e alguns elementos para as próximas coleções. É mergulhando não uma questão, óbvio, somente estética. Afinal, moda são formas, são texturas. Estou mergulhando nos conceitos de desenvolvimento sustentável. Eu estou sendo convidado a participar de várias conferências mundiais sobre o assunto. E eu estou vivendo isso. Acho que cada coleção é o que eu estou vivendo naquele momento.
Recycled polyester fiber from PET packaging is an ecological product because it means the removal from the environment of a material that is difficult to decompose, which are responsible for 30% of the solid waste collected in Brazilian municipalities. Over 400,000 rag pickers are involved in the collection and selection of recyclable materials. The combination of these polyester fibers with cotton fibers enables the creation of a knitted fabric that has just the same resistance, durability, and colors as products made with conventional polyester.
Na hora que a gente começou a desenhar e a pensar como usar, né, seguir, né, o as sustainable as possible, surgiu uma quantidade enorme de matérias-primas e aí a gente inverteu um pouco o processo que a gente sempre faz, que é desenhar uma coleção e depois, né, em busca daquele tecido que a gente imaginou, do shape que a gente planejou, inspirou. O que acabou acontecendo foi uma inversão desse processo. Os materiais inspiraram a gente, a montagem, a criação, o próprio desenho, né? O desenho de cada look veio a partir de uma matéria-prima e das suas limitações. Então, aquilo que poderia ser uma limitação vira uma inspiração.
O tingimento também tem um aspecto super interessante, que ele não fica completamente uniforme, né? Então cada produto é único.
Isso se reflete no produto, eu acho, quando você fala em design e o uso desses materiais, porque eu acho que você passa a criar um respeito maior também por esse tipo de matéria-prima. Então, o design acaba ficando mais puro, né? Você tenta interferir menos, valorizar a matéria-prima. Então, a gente transformou em peças especiais, em quantidades limitadas.
É um processo de aprendizado mesmo, assim, em todos os sentidos. Trabalhar com produto e entender o quanto a gente pode usar aquele produto dentro da coleção.
A gente usa justamente, por exemplo, essa cor. A gente não pediu essa cor, né? Essa cor aconteceu. Então, a partir disso, a gente pensa que cabedal faz sentido para essa cor.
We have developed a shoe soldering containing rubber trimmings and residues of rice, straw and cork that would be discarded. The use of these materials encourages the reuse and correct disposal of waste and avoids soil degradation, reducing its impact in nature. It doesn't just help preserving the environment, but also promotes a source of income for the workers involved in the process.
Se você juntar, empoderar grupos comunitários e, ao mesmo tempo, valorizar os materiais produzidos na floresta, você conseguiria promover o desenvolvimento humano sustentável. Nós fomos procurando esses grupos e, ao mesmo tempo, pesquisando também os materiais que eles trabalhavam. E nosso propósito nunca foi chegar em alguma comunidade com uma receita de bolo e, de uma certa maneira, vamos dizer, violar os saberes tradicionais. Muito pelo contrário, nós sempre tivemos uma atitude de respeito. Mas, ao mesmo tempo, nós entendíamos que a questão do design era fundamental para ele ganhar em escala, fazer com que, por exemplo, gere cada vez mais renda e, consequentemente, empoderamento para essas comunidades. A Oscla é muito aberta a propostas inovadoras, então a gente diz que a Oscla é o nosso laboratório de inovação. A moda feita no modelo linear leva ao esgotamento de recursos naturais, muitas vezes exploração injusta da mão de obra. Só faz sentido hoje em dia você desenvolver uma moda com propósito, uma moda com, vamos dizer, com um aspecto mais humanista e ao mesmo tempo solidário com o planeta. Quando a gente promove o uso de materiais sustentáveis feito por uma mão de obra comunitária, é da maior importância.
Eu acredito que cada vez mais a moda tem que estar a serviço das grandes causas. A moda ela é uma expressão cultural de um momento. Se nós olharmos como as pessoas se vestiam há um tempo atrás, nós vamos ver como as pessoas viviam. Quando você veste uma roupa da Oscla, você está vestindo a ideia que existe comprometida com uma cadeia de sustentabilidade, com as comunidades que produzem aquele algodão, com o impacto que isso causa para quem fabrica a roupa que você veste. Então, o Instituto E, ele nasceu para materializar o compromisso da Oscla e dar concretude a essa preocupação.
Tem femininos aqui nas peças, tem um coletão, deve fazer uma posição baixa.
20 years ago, we launched our first organic cotton t-shirts. Now Oscla consolidates itself as the largest sustainable development laboratory in Brazilian fashion industry. Our collections are reinforcing to the market and society not only our pioneering with the question of sustainability, but also to renewing our commitment through these 20 years as a reference of conscious and innovative practice in the fashion segment, national and internationally. Since 2002, the production of e-fabric by Oscla has risen from 1,000 pieces to almost 137,000 pieces by 2015. The raw materials are really the protagonists, and my design team had as a starting point sustainable material that give rise to diverse e-fabrics. The shapes, silhouettes, colors, textures, and trim of our fashion shows are the result of a meticulous, organic, and innovative work. And the result is a perfect balance between the technological and the artisanal. The world is changing. Soon it will be irrelevant where you are from. There will be no more geographical nations. Instead, there will be lifestyle nations. People around the world will connect based on ideas and attitudes that represent its values. I want to be a part of a sustainable lifestyle nation, and I want to make sure that in my generation we did it. What we are doing now is a call for the urgency of adopting more sustainable practices and attitudes, bringing to everyone the concept that has always guided us, ASAP, as sustainable as possible, as soon as possible. It's a paradigm shift. It's an invitation to the world and to Brazil. Act now for a better present and a better future. Let's leave a better world to the next generations.
Omina is pleased to welcome to the stage Lydia Firth from EcoAge, and Osklen founder, UNESCO's Goodwill Ambassador, Oscar Metzavat.
Welcome, everyone. What better way to start the third and last day of our Omina Summit than with a pioneer of sustainable fashion. It's not I don't think it's a coincidence that in 2007, which is the year we launched EcoAge, WWF UK issued a report where there was a chapter about the future makers, and it was Osklen and Tesla. And when you see this movie, you understand exactly why. If you give a quick excursus on Osklen bio, what I want to know is, when do you sleep? Because, you are an artist. In fact, you are the creative director of Art Studio. You have an academic degree in medicine. You are the founder, but also the style director, the creative director of Osklen. You are the founder of Instituto E, which I'm sure you are very, very involved in. And Instituto E developed and implements a lot of projects, environmental projects, which are inspired by the 6 E's, which are earth, environment, energy, education, empowerment, and economics. You are a UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador, and one of the pioneers of the new luxury concept. So when do you sleep?
I sleep well. No, I think it looks like so many things, but if you think about the spirit of artists, the values of the ethics, and the culture of the aesthetics, and the love what you do, it's so It's easy. It's all the same thing. Being a physician did bring the most important thing in my knowledge. I don't practice as a physician, but I have the knowledge about the human being. The human body, the organic system, it's already a system, and also the human being. And if we talk about bringing art and the science of the human, it comes fashion. Because fashion is a physical layer of our body. We design something to protect, like a skin. But also, fashion is about a cultural layer of our body. It's a majestic layer. It's where us, as a human being, not a human body, we connect to the other ones, our personality, and vice versa. It's our socialization. So fashion is about that. It's covering a human body. So having studied to be a physician working as a that, it's so close to fashion as people couldn't imagine. And as I say in the beginning, for me, it's the human being what surrounds a human body. This is what brings on my art projects, and it brings also into my design and my creative team in Asklin.
But you're also a technician. Like I rarely met anyone who studies fabrics and textiles and does so much innovation. I mean, we saw here just few examples, but you know, with Instituto E, you recently partnered with the University in Rio de Janeiro to look at more than 50 textiles and projects and raw materials. So that is a constant occupation as well for you.
We are doing now 2019, 20 years of sustainability. The first insight to bring sustainability, to bring as all of us the ideology of sustainability and the ethics. My platform was fashion, so I began doing on it. And when I realized, last year, that we were doing 20 years on sustainability, I knew, of course, how much we have done, because most of the project is not, Asklin is not, okay, it's cool asking that we use sustainable materials for social and environmental issues. But what is the most important, I think, value, and I'd like to be recognized in me and my team in Asklin, is that we dedicate ourselves this 20 years to develop products. There are projects that came from the zero. So we develop, we go, we develop, and we try. You know that it's much easier to use the standard fabrics, materials we have in the fashion industry than these other ones. Can you imagine the dyeing process to be organic dyeing process? We all of us know that the color dyes. So many things happen. So during those 20 years, sometimes some leathers material doesn't glue well. You know, sewing is difficult. It's about innovation. Of course, it's expensive. And of course, I did bring this that we have to understand that it's a new luxury. It is a luxury. It's a contemporary luxury of the 21st century. In this collection, we have more than 50 different materials from different projects and more than 200 references from sustainability. We showed just 4 ones.
This is the ASAP collection.
Yes, ASAP collection. And I invited the University of Rio de Janeiro to open the research Asklin all its sustainable project. All its process or change, the products are not sustainable, etc., etc. And they are very surprised. The numbers are still coming. I showed some numbers here. It's impressive, the numbers. I knew we would have some interesting numbers, of course, but I didn't know how deep it was and how deep in the total chain it changed so many things. For example, just in recycled PET, you see, I didn't know, last year it was 270,000 bottles of recycled PET that we took from the environment and we did bring to the fashion for the clothing. What is interesting, I was talking before, I remember 20 years ago when I imagined, I had seen already the first moves of Yvon Chouinard in Patagonia, and I was imagining, wow, I could have my board shorts made of recycled PET because it's polyester. It was 20 years ago I was thinking, at the same time I've developed this project, the first organic project in Brazil. And I was wondering, so I began to work with the trash. Sorry, my English sometimes I miss many words.
It's better than mine,
No.
don't worry, I'm Italian,
No.
it's the same.
No. And to begin to understand, to people understand, to recycle pets, to have the catadores, people who work on the streets in Rio de Janeiro, to take it, to bring it up. And then seducing the industry to bring and transform it. I was in this process. And then the first ones, recycled fibers, didn't work because they break. I know you know about the recycling pet. And then for the jerseys, we got maybe 12 years ago. But for the boat short, the microfibers, we didn't have. So 2 years ago, we got it. And now the boat shorts are made from recycled PET coming from the oceans and the trashes. What I want to say is that it's not because Oscar used those materials. It's that because we are part of developing them. And this is a great work when my team did, because it's much easier to work with the standard for the industry.
Yeah, and I think this is what, when I first came across you and your work, this is one of the first things that I really admired about you, is that, and also reflects in the name of as sustainable as possible, you have a very open mind and a curiosity, and you're not afraid to fail. So a lot of designers, a lot of brands that we work with, for example, they're like, oh, it has to be perfect, or it's not, or we're going to do it only if you're sure that it's going to succeed. You are like, will it work? I have no idea. Let's try and develop it. And even when it doesn't work, you don't stop. And you partner with the universities to give all your data, say, this is what we do, completely transparently. And I think that is one of the biggest quality of sustainability, is transparency, cooperation. So you really are a pioneer of that as well. Because, it's what you were saying also yesterday. It's like...
Yeah. Through experience, I could see, for example, some certifications process, things like that. They wouldn't say that was sustainable or not because, for example, a piece of clothing. Maybe the fabric comes from a sustainable process. Maybe the dyeing, no, because sometimes you can't reach the color and that one. So in Oscar, we use sustainability where we can. Where we can't, we don't. We use, because for me, aesthetics comes first. Comfort, second, third, sustainability. Of course, we want, I'm sure we're going to get, to be 100% sustainable. So sometimes people say, no, it's not sustainable because it's, the dyeing process is not sustainable. No, you have to think about that. The organic, for example, I'm going to use the cotton. Organic cotton, the whole process is 100% sustainable. It's not the product that must be sustainable. It's the chain must be sustainable in each part of this. And so, yes, I challenge us, myself, with audacity. No, I am saying it is sustainable. And then Osklin says, yes, if you have Osklin on that and you have the E, it's sustainable. I don't need certifications to tell me that. We know we do. Of course, we use certifications to understand the process. They come with the techniques to measure and tell us, yes, it's sustainable in this part of the process. But it's whole process, no, we do. Because credibility comes from the consumers and society, not from the institutions. This is what we are living now in the 21st century. So I suggest you all doing that. Don't mind about institutions, what they say, talk about you. If you write, if you have the ethics and the transparency, you're doing the best, much best than in the institutions.
So, Lucy, yes, I think Lucy asked me if I was an optimistic or a pessimistic, but are you an optimistic or a pessimistic?
No, thank you for this. Yes, I am optimist. Because, you know, we are, I think as I said in the movie, I'm very glad because I'm living in one of the most important generations of the human race in the adventure on this planet. Human race is great. It's great. It's great. Can you imagine? We are still living from the Renaissance movement, where science, philosophy, and art came together. This is the 21st century that we are living. If we see the line of our civilization and the life of the planet, many times, a few times I can say, the planet could be dead. For glacial era, the big endemic disease that we had, the human race could be lost. The world wars, the atomic bomb issues, everything. But we are living in a dying planet because of the industrialization era. Of course, it's 200 industrialization era. We are living our transition. Of course, we can't be 100% tomorrow. We are living this transition. And this transition we are living, it's about as sustainable as possible, to be 100% sustainable in all issues, in all industries. I think our generation, we can be proud of that, because we talk much more about preservation officially from the 50s. In the 50s was the first time to talk about preservation. Then in the 60s, in the academics, in the 60s it becomes the hippie movement and changed our minds. In the 67 comes WWF, that teaches us to love nature. And then comes 70s, 80s comes the Greenpeace, teaches us we have the rights we have to fight against. So it was loving and saying our rights. Then in Rio 92, the most World Summit we have in 92, it came the first time by Maurice Strong, the thinking about sustainable development. This is when I could understand that, because before that, preservation and the economics that we have in the world, what it means to be preservation, it was too romantic, naive, because of course it comes from the economics issues. In the 90s, I could understand, well, yes, to really comes preservation. It's not just ideology, it's business. We can do money in a sustainable way. So when I had my first movie, when I could read Kyoto Protocol, that's why I have that T-shirt in the 90s, Kyoto Protocol. For me, it was the most subversive T-shirt that we had in that time. And why I'm optimist? Because if we are here, and so many conferences in sustainability with people like us are happening in the world, we, the human beings, our mindset has changed already. The planet is going to die if we keep like that. But we are already in 2020. We are in the 21st century. We have the philosophies, ideologies, and technologies on sustainable development on this era. We just have to come and apply it. Apply it in any time. We have to invest. Sustainability is innovation. Sustainability is transition. Sustainability must have consistency in what we do. It can't come on the first face of our brands and think it must be on it behind, but it's the first attention for it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, this is the best conference in sustainability in the world. Right?
I love that. I totally agree.
Before we open the, I have two more questions quickly. One is, yesterday when someone asked me about the price of sustainable fashion, says, what if for people who don't have money? And I saw you in front row doing this kind of like, I was just say, shit, this usual question. So what is your answer to that?
I'm using it also in this conference. There's someone who asks, why sustainability clothing or sustainability must be expensive? Because people think Oscillin is expensive because it looks wrong. You know, I said, no, it's not, no, it doesn't must be expensive. It is expensive. Of course, it's innovation. We don't have a scale. Society don't demand, society doesn't buy. Society doesn't still do choices. We here, we do the choices, but I'm sure we don't do all the time because the kind of consumerism we have now is still buying more, buy less. She's
Oh,
wearing
wow,
20 years of Oscar. So she had pieces for many collections.
Yes, exactly.
And all sustainable. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So it's expensive because it's investment of the company. It's few pieces. As I said, society doesn't pay. We have to understand that it's a luxury. It's luxury. We don't buy luxury with the European standards of luxury, novels that they're well-made. Of course, it was in the last century. It's still, when it's well-made, it brings sophistication. I'd like to tell something. I have like a concept equation from the word ethos, the ethos of a community, a nation, etc., a city, comes two words: ethics and aesthetics. So they say, the Greeks, that ethics is equal to aesthetics. Aesthetics, talking conceptually, is equal to design. Design, when well made, it's equal to sophistication. Sophistication is equal to luxury. So ethics is equal to luxury. People forgot what luxury is. You know, the word luxury comes from lux, light, enlightened people, creation. So we forgot, when we talk about luxury, we say like that, luxury. No, luxury is great. Luxury comes from noble values. What's the noblest value of the human being? I'm going to help you to bring, I think all of us agree. It's when we dedicate ourselves to the other. It's the most valuable human.
Well said.
And then, when we dedicate ourselves to do something to the others, with our time, talent, research, taste, everything, when we dedicate to do something to the other, as good we would do for us, not doing something to sell, no, to do something as good would you like to have to yourself. You do best efforts, time, etc. You're being a noble person because you are dedicating yourself to the other. You're being a very noble, valued person. And if you're dedicated to do something like that, this thing becomes sophisticated, of course. And sophisticated is equal to luxury. So this noble value of dedicating to the other, this is luxury. Luxury is not about brilliance. Luxury is not about status. Luxury is not about that. So we are all very noble people. We are one of the noblest peoples in the planet, I'm sure. Of course. It's Saturday in the morning. We are 3 days here.
It's happened in the morning.
Listen the others to talk about their projects that they did on this sophisticated way. So sustainability is the new thing, the new chic, of course. But it must be a great design. It must be original. It must be in the economics, into the business, and into the fair trade.
What happens in the morning?
What happened in the morning?
You said except in the morning, or did I not?
No. Saturday morning.
Saturday morning. All right. We are 1 minute late. Where is the big boss? Can we do some questions? We can. Thank you. Who has any questions? I'm sure there are many. First, you, the blue shirt in the... Yes, and then that, same row. Yeah, first light blue shirt, then dark blue shirt.
Okay, I'm very curious to know, because you have like this history of studying textiles. Who were your strategic partners from the beginning till now from this process? Because one as a designer doesn't usually have this technique knowledge. So who helped you, and who do you think should be strategic partners of us designers?
Our strategic partners are from, you see, the fish farmers in the northeast, in the Amazon, in the south of, doing this organic silk, the traditional standard industry in Brazil, that they are changing their sustainable process. What I mean is hands-on. That's what I said, that those products, we working on them from the beginning and bring an alliance. You said something interesting. Yes, I do bring to the stores some products that, first of all, they are not profitable. Sometimes they are not so 100% perfect. But I bring, because if I don't do that, I don't try to, you know, I can't do the cycle process. And consumers don't know the products. We have very few products in a sustainable way still.
Second question there, yeah, and then we have one here on the right wing. No, not in sense of right.
First? Thank you. You're an amazing guy. I'm like overwhelmed with so much amazing energy, and your thoughts are brilliant. It's more or less the same. For designers, I'm not a designer, but for designers, is it is it in your mind to give access to these recycled textiles? Because you have the technology, you've been working on the technology for ages, and it's not easy for other designers to get access, to have access to these textiles.
That's why we founded the Instituto E, the E-Institute. Because the practice we were developing into Osklen, inside Osklen, and I could see, wow, if I'm talking to sustainability, it can't be something that it's exclusivity for Osklen. I know it's very naive thinking about that, not being just us, but in a sustainable ethics way. So we developed, we created with UNESCO, the E-Institute, we created it to share our experience to the other designers, with the industry, and other industries besides the fashion industry. So type Instituto E and you reach the email things.
You can call them on the phone. Let me ask Kira. Hold on.
Have you exported these tissues to Europe, the textiles that you have created?
Oscar, we have our exportation our exports are it's 5% of Osklen only. It's very hard, as you know, most of us, we are from Latin America. It's very hard to develop a brand and sell this outside if you are from the South Hemisphere. If we are not on the North American, Europe, and Asia part of the planet, it's very, very difficult, very, very hard to reach it.
Yes.
Hello.
Claudia and Donna.
Hi.
Donna, because she has the microphone, she's bossy, you know, she's like,
Anybody else want to speak first? No. No. I think what's so important, the question that I keep being raised to me, and I put it out to you, is what is your advice for young designers today? Because we're in a very difficult industry, as we all know. And not only being from where you've come, because what you're showing the world, this is a world design that's been said. And people have this illusion of fashion designers. And I see it all the time. I'm on the board at Parsons School of Design. I see all the young designers here. What would be your takeaway to the designers that are here today?
I agree with you, Donna. Yes, everybody at some time, many people want to be designers, to be known, successful designers before doing something to be recognized. Exactly. Of course, understand, of course, it's great to be here, to be in the film, to be now with Livia on there, and to be invited. Of course, it's great for my ego, etc., etc. But first, we have to do something first, to be original, of course.
You see him here, he's old. It's been doing it for a long time.
Come on, I always think I'm a startup. I feel always me as a startup, and you. I want to be recognized as a designer, etc., etc. But my spirit is as an artist is different. The ego is different on the way. But Donna, what I could suggest, new designers, search for one project. Do you see so many community projects, new fabrics? We saw so many here now. There are so many interesting things. and challenge yourself, developing to bring it in the best aesthetics, best comfort, best your original style. You propose your style, what you like, and keep that doing, and to be recognized by that. I think, first of all, it's much more challenged. It's a work for yourself, and for sure to bring success if you keep on that. Don't try to be like designers. We know don't try to be the other ones. Understand what you like. Understand the chain of process with who you're going to work. We saw some great projects those last 3 days here, and keep strong on that. It's different. You can be the only one best in one kind of product in the world, instead of being another fashion designer in your community.
Claudia,
you just talked about success, and I'm always really interested in failure. So if we assume that to fail is to learn, can you give us an example of one of your best failures? Or mistake. We call it a mistake.
Well, I don't know.
Come on, I'm sure there are some.
Best failures. So many. So many. I don't know.
I'm sure you tried to dye the fabric.
I'm optimist guy. I forget the failures. I learn with them.
Good
I
answer.
learn with them.
Can I
learn.
Before we close this session, can I just come up with, because last night I was talking to Don, I've been talking to Carmen and Andrea for a long time when we were conceptualizing this summit. He came out today again with Oscar. Why don't we do something? Because we need to leave a legacy for this summit. We need to make sure that we give an example to all the other summits that people leave and then nothing happens, and they're just a total waste of time. Can we today, from now, is there someone in the team that can collect from the young designers? You count myself?
Stop. It's enough of those.
So someone that collects from you, all the young designers, anyone who's interested, which are the things that you are lacking? What would you like to know? Like, you wanted to know about how can you get access to information about textile. Someone will want to know where can produce the best handbags somewhere. Or can we collect these answers, and then with Carmen and Andrea in the coming weeks, we put together a resource with answers from Osklen, Bottletop, all the companies that have been successful in Latin America, and we share something that becomes a conversation.
We thought about this last night because I have attended many summits around the world, and at the end it was really cool to meet, to share, but nothing happens. So as a Costa Rican, I was discussing with several of you that it would be great to have 2 iPads running around in this room to collect our contacts, to create a platform in which we can communicate, sort of like a LinkedIn of forward thinkers on this sustainable, and I hope that...
She's the queen of technology. I don't even know how to use an iPad. You are the queen of technology. You are the king of knowledge in all of that, so bye.
Hello. Livia, you are in this, okay? You are in this with us. Andrea, we all gonna do it. We are doing a round table today. And we all in this round table are gonna be responsible in answering your questions. We're going to come up with the right answers for each of you in the best way we could possibly do. We are not an oracle. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. But all what I can tell you is the same thing that Livia, Andrea, you've been saying, stick to who you are. Keep it simple. Make profits. That's sustainable already. After, worry about changing the world. Once you change yourself, you change the world.
We are delighted to introduce for conversation on sustainable development. Help us welcome Marianne Hernandez, President of the Board of Pacunam, Conservationist and Director of the Latin American Board at the Guggenheim Museum, and Maggie Antillon, Political Strategist and Founder of Imago.
Hola, hola, buenos días a todos y a todas. Querida Marianne, finalmente nos conocemos después de muchas sesiones en Skype para planear qué íbamos a decir ahora. Así es que bienvenidísima a Costa Rica y bienvenidísimos a todos ustedes a estar en Omina, a sentir, después de esta charla de Oscar, después de esa conclusión que hace Carmen, el cambio más importante que se puede hacer en sostenibilidad viene de aquí adentro. No hay otro secreto. La luz que puede venir más grande para dar energía, para que las cosas cambien, viene de cada uno de nosotros. Si ustedes pudieran medir en este momento la cantidad de energía que hay en este salón, yo creo que seríamos capaces de encender las luces de todo New York, tal vez. O ¿por qué no del mundo? Eso es lo que hace la diferencia. Uno puede ir a cualquier panel, a cualquier conferencia, pero esta es de las mejores, si no la mejor, porque busca comprometernos a dar lo mejor de nosotros para ser sostenibles. ¿Y qué es sostenibilidad? Ética. ¿Qué es sostenibilidad? Solidaridad. ¿Qué es sostenibilidad? Sacar eso que tienes adentro y hacer el cambio desde ti mismo. No esperar que los demás lo hagan. El testimonio que vamos a oír ahora de Marianne no es cualquier testimonio. Resulta que esta señora es una banquera. Ella viene del mundo de las finanzas. Durante 25 años se ha desarrollado en las grandes ligas en Nueva York. Tiene su especialidad en banca, pero también en ciencias políticas. Y hace 4 años decide tomar la presidencia de una fundación que hace la diferencia en Guatemala. Viene del sector privado. Algunos dicen de que venga del sector privado, ya hay algunos prejuicios, pero de nuevo, de donde venga, no importa si es público, privado, si es en una comunidad, si es en una región, si es en un escritorio, hace la diferencia. Pero ella buscó su vitrina, su experiencia para ponerla a disposición de la Fundación Pacunam. Esta fundación se dedica a la conservación del 20% de la biosfera del Parque Maya, nada pequeño, pero además ha buscado una alianza con el sector público para tratar de que las políticas públicas y las que el sector privado y la comunidad y otras organizaciones a través de la fundación buscan, se haga posible. Dicen por ahí de que si quieres caminar rápido, camina solo. Si quieres llegar lejos, camina acompañado. Por eso, esta plataforma de Pakuram reviste para nosotros una gran importancia, porque el micrófono que toma ahora Marianne implica el esfuerzo de una mujer que cree y que deja lo que está haciendo para traer a Wall Street a esta maravillosa fundación. Porque el que sea sostenible no quiere decir de que no puedan desarrollarse proyectos económicos importantes alrededor de este proceso. Para trabajar en la conservación no hay que detener el desarrollo, hay que abrazar el desarrollo. La sostenibilidad, la ética y el desarrollo son las mismas valores éticos por los cuales debemos trabajar juntos. Por eso, ahora veremos algo maravilloso, porque además, y con todo el cariño del mundo, porque represento a una empresa que anda buscando la vitrina para exhibir a mujeres como Andrea Soma, como a Carmen, como a Marianne, como a Donna, y que hacen las cosas diferentes, y con el perdón de los caballeros que están aquí, el 80% del público de Omina somos mujeres. Así es que no puede haber una energía más fuerte cuando hay muchas mujeres reunidas. Reciban quienes nos visitan ese saludo de pura vida. Ese saludo de pura vida trasciende un saludo normal. Quiere decir que los costarricenses abrazamos la naturaleza, la sostenibilidad, la solidaridad, es como el shalom de los judíos. Ese pura vida viene desde el fondo de nuestro corazón, y para todos ustedes, y yo le pido a los ticos que en un grito al cielo le digamos a todos los que nos visitan y al mundo entero, si quieren nos ponemos de pie y decimos todos al unísono, 1, 2, 3, ¡pura vida! Siéntese por favor, y entonces empezaremos con Marianne y esa gran mujer que viene desde Guatemala a presentarnos el proyecto Pakuram. Ese tal vez.
Muchísimas gracias, Maggie. I apologize for everybody for my lack of voice, and I hope that it makes me talk less and lets you get out of here quicker. When Carmen invited me to participate in this call, I said, why the hell would Carmen want me to talk today? Because I didn't see the connection between the project and what the summit was all about. And after being here 3 days, I've not only learned so much, but also think that this project is exactly the essence of what we have been talking about today. And a project like the one that the foundation is pursuing is one that will make viable for many of the entrepreneurs and sustainable projects that we see in fashion and many other industries become viable and have a platform to thrive and succeed. So I'm very happy for the opportunity. Also, very thankful to everybody that has expressed feelings for Guatemala with the volcano.
¿Será posible conseguirle un poquito de miel o algo así para refrescar?
No, I'm fine.
I know.
It's been a tough week for Guatemala, which I consider my home today. I think I better talk like this. It's far too.
No hagas ningún esfuerzo.
Which I consider my home today.
Es que no.
It's for the streaming online. it doesn't, I cannot, okay. So it's been very difficult for Guatemala this week, which is a place I consider home. And being able to come here this week was very important, even if it was difficult, since everybody is trying to help in the process. So in the last few days, I have been absent, and I apologize for that. But I think the foundation is also trying to do some to help with a very difficult situation. Enough about that. So when Carmen invited me, she said, I want you to talk about 3 things. She said, I want you to talk about these wonderful new discoveries that we have made in the jungle with the LiDAR technology and the mapping of archaeological patrimony. Then she said, I also want you to talk about the foundation and what you're doing in general. And I also want you to talk about Mayan fashion, because it's so inspiring. And I said, how can I fit all that in half an hour? Well, let's see if I can make it happen. So I'm going to talk very quickly. But yeah, that's going to be better. Aquí hay agüita, por si acaso. Gracias. Can you understand me? Yes. The energy is clear. Uy, too clear. Too clear. But I got over that part.
Este es el tuyo. Okay.
He's turning it on. Are we clear? Yes. So 3 months ago, Guatemala captured the imagination of the world with the newly discovered archaeological remains done by this LiDAR mapping that showed that the Mayan civilization ranks among the most important ancient civilizations of the world. In a period of 10 days, the world seemed to hold its breath, while through a plane, we launched billions of laser points into the jungle, back into the skies, in order to map and discover what 100 years of research, archaeological research, hadn't been able to see. The grandeur of the Mayan civilization naked for our eyes to see. And thanks to this announcement and to a documentary launched by Nat Geo, the world got to see this, and it was a media frenzy. 250 different outlets covered for a week non-stop these discoveries. And it's And we have a small short clip of what Nat Geo did. I apologize, it's in Spanish. It was confusing to pick a language for the conference, but I believe there is a translation for those that want it. And we're going to post online in the Omina Summit website the full documentary to see for all of those that want to learn more. So maybe we can go ahead and show the video clip, please.
El domingo 11 de febrero se estrenó en Guatemala el programa Tesoros Perdidos de los Mayas, un especial de National Geographic que reescribió la historia y reveló una escala y sofisticación sin precedentes de esta desarrollada civilización. La producción muestra el descubrimiento de varias ciudades hasta ahora desconocidas y más de 60.000 estructuras que confirman que la civilización maya era mucho más grande de lo creído. Todo a través de un estudio aéreo de la selva guatemalteca realizado con la tecnología LiDAR, Light Detection and Ranging, por sus siglas en inglés. En el programa, el explorador guatemalteco Francisco Estrada Belli es acompañado por sus colegas Albert Lin y Tom Garrison. Juntos lideraron un mapeo subterráneo en la cubierta forestal de la selva guatemalteca que reveló más de 60.000 estructuras desconocidas y puso al descubierto una vasta red de ciudades, fortificaciones, granjas y rutas. También dejó a la vista un gran trabajo de ingeniería y áreas agrícolas especializadas capaces de proveer sustento alimenticio a una población masiva a un nivel casi industrial. Esta concepción totalmente nueva acerca de las grandes creencias que se tenían sobre los mayas se relató por primera vez en este programa. Durante décadas, los arqueólogos trabajaron en la jungla para reconstituir su conocimiento sobre los mayas. Sus hallazgos llevaron a la teoría de que las ciudades mayas estaban aisladas y eran autosuficientes. Sin embargo, esta creencia de larga data es hoy rebatida por la iniciativa guatemalteca Pacunam LiDAR, un consorcio de más de 30 científicos y arqueólogos pertenecientes a instituciones académicas líderes a nivel mundial, organizado y financiado por la Fundación Pacunam, que ha utilizado una costosa tecnología para relevar por vía aérea más de 2.000 kilómetros cuadrados de selva. Los hallazgos, representados en asombrosos y modernos mapas digitales y en una aplicación de realidad aumentada que transforma los datos aéreos en una vista del terreno, diseñada exclusivamente para el documental, muestran el paisaje debajo del follaje sin tener que cortar ni un solo árbol. Anteriormente se había sugerido una población estimada maya de entre 1 y 2 millones de habitantes, mientras que los nuevos datos estiman que unos 20 millones de habitantes vivieron a lo largo de las llanuras mayas. Una cantidad que representa alrededor de la mitad de la población europea total en aquel momento, en un área con apenas el tamaño de Italia. Francisco Estrada Belli ha estado explorando la antigua ciudad maya de Olmul durante casi 2 décadas y ha descubierto evidencias del legado de una dinastía de gobernantes conocida como los Reyes Serpiente. Al excavar un friso gigante grabado en piedra y una tumba real en la profundidad de las pirámides de la ciudad, ha reconstituido pistas sobre un rey y una reina del siglo XVII. En el valle inundado que rodea la ciudad, el arqueólogo utilizó los datos del LiDAR para demostrar el modo en que miles de hectáreas fueron drenadas, irrigadas y convertidas en tierras de cultivo a una escala asombrosa. Al igual que el Valle Central de California, el área de 20 kilómetros de largo habría estado cubierta de granjas con el potencial de proveer alimento a toda la región cercana a Tikal.
There's 20,000 square kilometers more that need to be explored. And there's going to be hundreds of cities in there that we don't know about. I guarantee you.
¿Se dieron cuenta por qué teníamos que ver en Omina Pacunam? Esto es verdaderamente abrazar la sostenibilidad de nuestros países. Y particularmente quiero hacer alusión a Guatemala, quien ha vivido una tragedia en los últimos días y que nosotros solidariamente también quiero que le demos un gran aplauso a nuestros amigos guatemaltecos. Allá está Isabela, aquí está Marian, para decirles, estamos con ustedes.
Ya. Yo sabía que se hablaba de eso. So moving on, basically the LiDAR showed a new dimension of this civilization that simply because the jungle didn't allow it for 100 years, we couldn't see before. But it's not that we didn't know anything about the Maya. Of course, 100 years of research has shown us an incredible amount of information about them. As a matter of fact, we knew that the Mayan civilization was one of the most important civilizations among the 15 ancient civilizations, having a temporality that ranks second only to the Arabian civilization in terms of the length of a civilization, as well as a monumentality ranked by the height of its architecture that only ranks fourth to others, the Egyptian, the Chinese, and the Arabian, and that surpasses the Roman and many other important civilizations, especially in the arts and architecture. Also, in terms of scientific advances, the Mayan managed to be the fourth ancient civilization to create a calendar, and one of the most advanced calendars in the world, and the second of only three to invent the notion of zero. All other ancient civilizations and modern civilizations pretty much borrowed it from the ones that invented it. And the Mayans did manage, without external influence, to come up with it. We also knew, in terms of sociological advantages, that it was a civilization that ranked 8th in the world in coming up with a writing system, one that we have cracked the code for, and one of the team members in PACUNAM, one of the people that helps in the vision of PACUNAM as part of the academic team that we have, is actually the scientist that cracked this code some 25 years ago. And also in terms of influence and the reach of this civilization, we managed to rank about 8th in the world. So altogether, we were already a top 5 civilization. We also knew that the Maya got established in modern-day Guatemala. Out of 8 different ancient Mesoamerican cultures, the Mayan settled itself and became what we call a civilization, a geopolitically robust settlement, to be considered a civilization in the heart of the Mayan jungle, actually in the Guatemalan modern heart of the Mayan jungle. And it then spread from there in a matter of 2,000 years to cover the entire Mesoamerica. But the way we understood settlements were as very spread out, sort of easygoing, isolated settlements. We understood there was interconnection between them, but of course, how could we dream that any human culture could thrive and survive and develop in such an inhospitable environment as the jungle is? So the way we portrayed the cities, even the most important of all cities, Tikal, which happens to be in modern Guatemala, was as a spread out aggregation of small communities. And Tikal was expected to have, at its height, a community of about 30,000 people. Even its grandeur, which is not diminished by the fact that the city was smaller than its counterparts from other civilizations, showed a city spread out. So we had smaller settlements, sort of autosufficient settlements, but many, many of them. There were about 6,600 settlements in the Mesoamerican area that have been documented today. In the area of Tikal, the area where the foundation works, there are 1,200 settlements and 30 of the most important cities of the Mayan world. And when it was discovered at the end of the 1800s, by this very handsome gentleman. Tikal looked like this, and they actually deforest the entire city in order to be able to work it. And when we idealized the way that it must have looked in its grandeur, Tikal was all filled of these red-colored buildings and of a lot of culture and rituality. And today, Tikal, with its emblematic Temple 1, looks like this. We knew that they engaged in warfare and that they had very intricate interrelations by many of the wonderful murals that are left in some of these cities, full of colors, demonstrating that there was a robust civilization where power and struggle was part of common life. But we didn't know the extent of this. It seemed to us that most of the conflict, contrary to what Hollywood has portrayed, came from the struggle to position leadership and the elite trying to overcome other elites. There were dynasties throughout all these cities, and a great deal of the conflict seemed to reflect the submission of the leadership and not really warfare in a grand scale. So we, again, were reassured that this was a society, a spread civilization with limited interconnection and contact, and not comparable to some of those greater civilizations like the Chinese or the Indian in terms of the scope. And we see here some very elegant ladies, a queen, a warrior queen, stepping over one of the kings of a different kingdom, which for that they would strip him of his beautiful clothing and keep him naked. That was a way to insult him in the most. Coming to the idea of the representation of fashion as being a portrayal of personality and an extension of one's own, to portray them of this grandeur was a way of submission. And we see it repeatedly throughout all the monuments that we've been able to excavate in the 100 years that we've been working the area, that submission of the elite was the foundation of the power struggle. We did know there was an incredible interaction commercially because products appear all throughout Mesoamerica that we know are autochthonous from only certain regions. And we also knew that they knew how to party quite hard. And we can see, well, I think this is not the party one, but we can see this caravan taking this king probably to a big celebration. And we see that they did go for a lot of rituals and ceremonies from one kingdom to the next. They represented the roads by the actual symbol of the footprint, which is called in Mayan Beh. So Sakbeh, which is called a road. It means the white road or the white footprint, because all Sakbehs were painted white with yeso, with chalk, and they were quite magnificent. But we couldn't really see them very much, except for the very big ones from the preclassic. And here we can see slightly in the forest how there is a line, a very straight line of trees that goes above the actual canopy of the rest of the jungle. And that happens to be a very long Sakbeh. The construction of these roads that were 8 meters above the elevation, the ground, and that measured between up to 40 and in sometimes vertical 80 meters wide. So there were major engineering feats. We just didn't know much about it because we couldn't see but the very big ones that interconnected large settlements. Here is where we see major partying going on. They drank, they smoked, and they feasted like kings that they were. And they also visited each other quite frequently. And I don't want to take too much of the time in going through it, but we see here in one of the ball games, two kings having a leisurely time. And in terms of fashion, they were grand as well. We see how regal, the Mayan were colorful and inspirational. And really we can see the origins of the very rich Mayan textile heritage that we have today from the ancient times. The kings were very brave to put all of those very heavy headpieces and dressed not only with animal garments, but also with very fine and beautifully colored prints made mostly of cotton. And they actually engaged a lot in using costumes. So they had costumes parties, and they dressed quite cheerfully for them. We have here an idealization of the greatest king of Tikal, the one that built Temple 1 and Temple 2. And based on the stela, the way that he must have dressed for formal occasions. And of course, the woman. The woman dressed exquisitely, and we see an incredible sophistication in the textile, the transparency, the use of glyphs and messages that we can imagine were embroidered into the textiles and that they use for their daily functions, as well as for their regal functions. And we see here a very regal queen coming to talk to her son, the king, and showing these very beautiful transparencies with this mesh dress. And I could go on for days talking about Mayan fashion, and I would love to do that, and maybe perhaps in another occasion we can do it. But I think what we have at stake is to talk about the challenges and how we move forward, and how LiDAR as a technology helps us launch forward an initiative. So basically, it was impossible to see beyond that, mostly because the jungle is just so dense. This is a night picture of Tikal, and we can see that even today, Tikal is very much embedded in the jungle. But LiDAR changed all that. This is an image of Tikal as well, from LiDAR. And we can see the level of detail of each structure, of the reservoirs, of the roads, we can almost feel that we can walk this city today by the way this image portrays it. And what we did with the LiDAR initiative was basically put research on asteroids. We did a transect of 2,000 square miles in a 20,000 square kilometer, 2,000 square kilometer, in a 20,000 square kilometer reserve, which is really just a small part, less than 10% of the 300,000 square kilometers of the Mesoamerican jungle. But with that, we were able to map the 60,000 structures. Each one of those white points is a structure that the Nat Geo documentary covers in a way that shows us, if we could have Google Earth go back in time to the year 800, this is the way that the reserve would have looked at the height of the Mayan civilization, lit up by night by candle, And we can see the difference between the preconceptions that we had of very isolated, sort of small settlements into what we can extrapolate as a continuum of settlement. Because obviously, only the parts that we have mapped, we can see the structures. But we can extrapolate, and as we continue to do LiDAR this year, and we hope to triple this coverage and cover the empty spaces, we can imagine that this is going to be a continuous settlement. So some very amazing stats, and I don't think I included many, but for Tikal alone, that we can share. What we had mapped in the 100 years that we had been investigating Tikal was 16 square kilometers of the city. We mapped 2,100 in 10 days. So basically, we went up by 1,500 times or something like that. We plan to map now about 6,000 square kilometers this year, starting next month. So that will be a major feast. Tikal, as we knew it, was a very small city, surrounded by some less important cities. And what the LiDAR has shown today is that the center city is about 75 kilometers square, that now the newly understood peri-urban area includes the city of Washington, which is another very important city where we have the first astrological observatories of the Americas. And it's about 530 kilometers square, which is the same area of modern-day Guatemala City, which holds, depending on which census you look at, between 3 and 5 million people. So we know that today the estimates are that Tikal, instead of the 20,000 people that we think it held, at least in its urban area, held about 200,000 people, and that if you consider the rest of the area, it probably covered around 300,000 people. And that is comparable to the size of the most important cities of the ancient world in China, in India, and of course in Europe. So that really puts us at a different scale. Also warfare. And we see now that Tikal was surrounded by an incredible wall. We had our little China wall in the Mayan world that has been mapped with the LiDAR so far only partially because we miscalculated the size of Tikal when we chose the area that we were going to map. But we can now understand that it was probably twice as big as the area that we have mapped. So we're talking that it was probably around 30 kilometers long, that wall, to cover around 100 kilometers of area enclosed by this wall, compared to the to Rome's Aurelian's wall, which was built around the year 270 after death, which is contemporary with this, the building of the Tikal wall, we think, early classic. We're talking that was 19 meters long. So the Tikal wall will be at least 30% bigger than the wall. And for those that want to see what the Aurelian wall looks like, well, there it is. A magnificent, this is Rome, of course, but this is a magnificent look to the Aurelian wall in Rome. And the Tikal wall probably didn't have much to envy from this. It was probably 5 meters long. It had a water ditch, and it was built as an earthwork where the soil taken out to build the wall was built into a ditch for protection, very much like Europeans did in the Iron Age. And here we have a picture of a city called, a settlement called the Maiden Castle in England, which very much looks like the type of defensive systems that we found through LIDAR to exist in all throughout the cities that we mapped, the 10 big cities that we mapped. All of them had this type of security system. It's something we had never seen before. We didn't know that these people needed to protect themselves because we thought warfare was more ritual and was more about capturing the lead. Our new understanding is totally quite different, and I don't know if you see the ramparts and walls and ramparts that are built around the city of Dos Aguadas and that repeat themselves all throughout new cities that we discovered. We discovered tens of new cities during the mapping, and this is a new city that we discovered, and to help you visualize the walling, we painted on top of it so you can see it. We never knew for 100 years that this amount of engineering was being carried over. And as Steve Houston, who is one of the greatest Mayan archaeologists, also member of the team, has put it, this puts the Maya in a new light as a civilization of fear. These people were continuously defending themselves. The questions are now, from whom and why? And we hope that with all this information, we'll be able to answer them. But around the cities, then you had these fortresses. They built fortresses that would be protected by ditches and ramparts all throughout, and then connect through roads with each other. So you had watch post towers, I mean an incredible amount of, and I think I have 5 minutes and I'm gonna definitely exceed it. So apart from that, an important point to make is that the findings are important, but the most important thing is really the consortium and the dynamics of research that we've created. As a foundation, we've created a group of people that have been interacting in the most prestigious platforms of interaction, and that come from all of the most important academic centers in the world and the most prestigious research groups. We have tens of Fulbright scholars. We actually have one MacArthur grant holder, David Stewart, the one that broke the code of the Mayan glyphs. He did it at age 17. He wrote his first thesis on Mayan archaeology at age 12, and he was the younger recipient of the fellowship, the MacArthur Fellowship, at 17 years old. And today, nobody has received it at that age. He did that about 30 years ago at 17. And he obviously went to Harvard, and now he heads UT, and he's part of the group of scientists. So, as Paul was saying in his talks earlier, to get this type of manpower is really the most important part. I usually don't present. I only did it for Carmen. And I usually let the scientists talk, but we take a backstage to the actual work and to the real work. And these are the people that are really important. And behind these 30 leaders, we have about 100 people between doctorate students, master students, and other scientists working the data. And the fact that we were able to process this vast amount of data in only 1 year, and that we're talking about using now artificial intelligence to expedite the work, and that we have people like NASA, like MIT, the government, and many agencies that I cannot even mention involved in this project speak volumes about the importance. But LIDAR at the end is not only about archaeology. It is transformation about archaeology, but it also will give us a tool for planning of the conservation of the area. It goes far beyond archaeology. LIDAR is, is an asteroid to be able to calculate the carbon reserves and the carbon reduction potential of the jungle for climate change purposes. And it does it because it maps every single tree. This is actually the cloud point, and this is how from the top you see every tree, and then our SIG specialists are able to map each one of them and calculate the carbon inventory of every single tree with very limited field validation. We get the height and the canopy from the LiDAR, and then we just have to validate the width of the trunk in order to calculate carbon. And with far more effectiveness than methods used before. The carbon that we have been able to calculate with LiDAR has, and this is how we separate the jungle from the soil and separate the trees individually, it's about 30% more higher than the carbon that had been estimated for the country before. So this is a very important tool to optimize the monetization of carbon reduction potential that the country has. And this is very important, and I don't think I put it in the presentation to maybe elaborate a little. Guatemala is, I may say it later on, so I'm gonna just move on quicker because I have a lot of pressure. Not only with the LiDAR, I'm gonna ask that somebody gives me a present of 5 minutes, please. Can I get a credit, like a carbon credit? So not only can we calculate the carbon, we can also calculate how to improve infrastructure, to make sure that we're effective into creating green infrastructure with a minimum level of print to the jungle. And but this is a very cool map that I will explain in 1 second, that sort of generated from the LiDAR relative drainability of terrain, both for upland and lowlands. And what we see in the lowlands is the high terrain, drainable terrain in the lowlands is in the whitish sort of shade. And non-drainable terrain, swamps, are in the green. And in the highlands, we see the same, because drainability is a relative thing. So in the highlands, not all the land is drainable. So non-drainable land is in the darker brown, and drainable land is in the lighter brown. And all the black dots that we see are Mayan structures. It's quite incredible that with more than 95% of correlation in the 2,100 kilometers we did for 60,000 structures, the Mayan always got it right. They always built where the terrain was drainable. So they were very effective in the way they altered the environment. On the contrary, we have here a line that shows a modern road. A road that every year with the rains gets erased and has to be rebuilt. Rebuilt by the communities that do a sustainable usage of the forestry. So this is one of the main factors. Their sustainable use of the forest is only sustainable for the forest, but not for the community. Because these communities basically lose money, and if it wasn't because of the international cooperation, they couldn't survive on the money they make.
Mi querida Marianne, tengo la obligación de decirte que se nos está acabando el tiempo.
No. Wait.
Esto era un conversatorio, pero yo entiendo toda la información que nos está
So I'm
dando.
going to try to summarize as much as I can, because it's very important for us to get to what the foundation is doing, actually. So apart from LiDAR, where we use the LiDAR also for characterizing the trees that need to be taken out when you intervene patrimony, so we can make a better sort of intervention of the forest, and that is also used to understand better the structures that are hidden, and even photogrammetry cannot really help us understand, or conventional modes of mapping. Pacunam, apart from this LiDAR project, that is really a tool for the development of our vision, works in the reserve, which is 20% of the territory of Guatemala, 1% of the population, less than 1% of the GDP, 48% of our frontier with Mexico, 60% of the forest of Guatemala, in 20% of the territory, and more than 70% of our potential as a country for emissions reduction from avoided deforestation, which is, as a non-developed country or underdeveloped country, the most important climate change factor. More than half of our emissions come from change of use of soil, from deforestation, from burning of this jungle, and 70% of it happens in this reserve. And it is home, like I said, to 1,200 Mayan sites. It is the Mayan Biosphere Reserve, one of 8 biosphere reserves by UNESCO in the world, that holds the important characteristic of having one mixed cultural and natural patrimony within. This happens out of 600 reserves in the world, only in 8 of them, which is Tikal, the Tikal National Park. It is 52% of the second most important forest in the Americas, after the Amazon forest. And in terms of the relevance as a country, Guatemala, one of the 19 megadiverse countries, and one of the 10 most vulnerable to climate change. So basically, what we do as a foundation, we work with the private sector and with alliances with all of the institutions and actors, government, philanthropy, and bingos and other ONGs. And
Yes.
Well. I will tell you now.
Vamos a ver, esto no es que se acabó, es que es parte del libreto. Así es que tranquilidad. La reflexión que viene ahora me parece que es lo más importante. La parte tecnológica nos ha permitido ver hasta dónde está toda esta riqueza maya gracias a Pacunam. Pero hay detrás de todo esto reflexiones más importantes. La parte tecnológica, la parte científica, pero también ¿qué significa para Guatemala el poder abrazarse de una causa como Pacunam? Y esa es la reflexión que quisiéramos que ustedes tengan ahora, porque lo que hace todos los días Pacunam también tiene algunos adversarios o personas que lamentablemente no dejan que el proyecto avance. Esto es parte de eso.
What we have tried to do is define a project that has the scope that will really bring a transformational change. After spending 12 years and $12 million in trying to rescue this reserve, we have found that 30% of it in the last 30 years has been deforested, and that we have a tsunami of threats that are impossible to overcome with such a small footprint. We are the biggest actor after the government investing. The government only invests $8 million a year. So we've spent a considerable amount of time planning what would be the transformational strategy. And following what has been said in this summit, both by Paul and Livia, about what is important, we came up with a project that is a $500 million initiative to be paid by climate change funds to meet human needs today, and through that be able to make a sustainable development of the forest for its conservation towards the future. It invests in security, in health, education, and in meaningful work for not only the communities, but for up to 500,000 people that can be benefited directly from this initiative. Not focusing on the climate change probability of the future, but the possibility of today, of what we need to do today. And as Livia said, trying to make a handprint and not a footprint, which is so important in order to take the sort of the political speech away from climate change, which is really what makes it inefficient. And I won't bother you in terms of what we're going to be invested on, and I'm very quickly going to pass through the presentation. But I want to talk maybe 1 second about the challenges. And the first one being Guatemala, one of the countries more vulnerable to climate change, is obviously what we experienced this week. And, you know, the dire needs that the country has because of its poor institutionality, something that Costa Rica has been able to overcome in a far better way, and that we need to learn from. And talking to Maggie during the preparation of the talk, Maggie threw me some light into the challenges in Costa Rica in terms of the difficulties of developing.
Qué lástima que tenemos en las zonas protegidas la población más pobre de nuestro país.
Exactly. So the correlation between the protected areas and the conservation areas and the lack of development and the lack of human resources, more than human benefits. It's outstanding. So it's kind of counterintuitive that the places where conservationists, where environmentalists work the most, are the areas where we have the poorest people and the most.
El tema es altamente apasionante. Nosotros tenemos toda la información para que ustedes, a través de Marianne, busquen ese link maravilloso de este trabajo que está haciendo. Un abrazo para todos y gracias, Marianne, por ayudarnos a hacer grande a Omina. Gracias.
Thank you for the information. Now let's all extend a warm welcome to Carmen Hijosa, creator of Piñatex, a textile produced from pineapple leaves.
Para que sepan que
We respectfully ask you to take your seats so we can receive Carmen Hijosa, creator of Piñatex.
Buenos días a todo el mundo. Good morning, and thank you for being here, being patient. I'm the last one. You're probably hungry. If you give me 30 minutes, I tell you my story. And thank you. I will speak in English, and if you have any questions in Spanish, I'm well able to do that as well. So I'm going to tell... Oh, my clicker. Hang on for a second. This is a bit of a rush time. Thank you, the organizers. I'm totally humbled by everybody. I really have to say that. So hopefully I can manage to gather myself together. I'm going to tell you the story of a product that starts with this, which is a waste from agriculture, and ends in this, which is a shoe. Right? But before I start, I'd like to tell you how I got to understand what this is about and the richness of this product. So my name is Carmen, as you see that. I come from Spain, and at 19 I left home. I really didn't feel very comfortable in this very traditional space, and I went to Ireland, a country which is very anarchic, beautiful, full of wonderful music. I felt really at home there. And a couple of years later, I started my first company, which was manufacturing leather goods, luxury. After 15 years, we were really the leaders, selling in places like Harrods, Liberty. So I was a little expert in leather. And as a result of that, I started to get consultancy work. One of the countries was Bolivia, one of the first countries. And my job was to upgrade design, understand manufacturing for the export market. And I work in the Altiplano with the Quechua and the Aymara, indigenous people, and there were ceramists. And we had nothing. I was sent by the European community to help these people to get to the Frankfurt Gift Fair. And I thought, what on earth am I going to do? Honestly, we didn't have a kiln. They were actually weaving. You know, they were coming and doing spinning. This is where I got to understand a little bit, oh, what is this fluffy thing that they're coming, the women? Anyway, I thought I have to do something. I'm not sending these people to this Frankfurt Fair because they're not ready. So I brought them to the museum down in the city to see their own history, their own ceramics, and to really start to understand and put them in touch with what they had inside them. And I promise you, those people walked into that museum one way and they walked out another way. They really found themselves. It was really a beautiful experience for me. So they made prototypes, they made samples, and they sold them in the local market. I never got a job with that agency in Brussels again. I told them to send these people to this show, it's like selling them to the moon with the woolly hats. They didn't like it, but it was the truth. Another country I went was the Philippines, and my brief was still to upgrade the leather industry there. But I understood already something very fundamental that I think we all know, which is a product is about people. So I was not just thinking luxury as I was before, I was thinking about people. So the first thing I did was to start understanding what is the richness of the country. They have extraordinary natural fibers, skills, traditions. I was completely taken aback. But my brief wasn't that. My brief was leather. So I said, well, I go to the dungeons of the leather, which I did. And I was so shocked that I decided there and then I wasn't going to work with leather anymore. That was my job on the job. And I thought that was that. But it was such a shock to my everything that, I thought no more. So I went to the designer, the design center of the Philippines, and I told them, look, I don't think we should do this, but you've got this alternative. Why don't you work with these natural fibers? Why don't you use what you have? And they said to me, go ahead. And I told them, I don't know anything about it. They still said, go ahead. So I did. I started to work intimately with farmers, with weavers, with dyers, with researchers. And one of those fibers that we worked with, which is this, pineapple leaf fibers, which is this, right? The waste of the pineapple harvest. So that's the beginning of Piñatex, which I'm going to tell you about. So Piñatex is a new textile made from, as you have seen, the waste of agriculture. It can be made into shoes, bags, accessories, car industry, and it has gone through about 15 years of working, research and development, trying again, and that's how a new material is built, is born. And it's based on circular economy, which I think everybody is familiar today with circular economy. And it's really disrupting these markets that we are talking about. One is the textile industry, and the other one is the leather industry. But let's go into what the leather industry is about. Leather is a byproduct, so it's a good thing to use byproduct. We have been using leather forever. However, look at those figures down there, 1.5 billion cattle in the world, more than the population of China. That is not sustainable. The amount of water, the amount of food that they need, just for us to eat that stuff, that's not really sustainable whatsoever. And look at the amount of cattle that needs to be slaughtered every year. What does it represent to the world? All that. And look at the tanneries. Not all of them do look like that, we must say. I mean, Europe has beautiful tanneries, but in the East, we still have incredible tanneries like that. People dying at that age because of the chemicals. This is the shocking part that I didn't want to have anything to do with. On the other side, I think we know all about the story of textiles, the huge waste, which is really nearly impossible to handle apart from incredible projects throughout the world. We need something else, right? And honestly, it's incredible to say, and there is Piñatex. It's a waste. It's coming from a waste, and there is so much of that waste. 24 million, the whole plant, 13 tons of this, that we don't need to plant one single pineapple, no water, no land, no fertilizers to have this. That's the beauty of Piñatex. I think I'm in the wrong country to show this, but nevertheless, pineapple, the second most popular fruit in the world. We eat the pineapple. We love pineapples. Sorry. And I think you probably all know that about this. We've got 30 to 40 leaves surrounding the pineapple. So once we eat it, this is left to rot in the ground. Imagine the waste. To me, it's such a waste. Oh my God. So these leaves, and later on I'm going to pass these leaves for you to really understand what this is all about. This is only one of hundreds of leaves we have in the jungle, right? They've got these beautiful, very fine fibers inside them. And when you work so intimately with products, as I had started to work with these weavers, with these farmers, I think we heard it all today about how you can work with these people. You really get to know, they become you. So these fibers, they're really strong, light, and flexible. So the idea is, what if we make a product that can have these characteristics, light, strong, but flexible with these fibers? And this is what Piñatex is about. So let's go to the real place, which is the farming communities. This is where everything starts. These are the fibers drying in the air. And this is the beginning. There's my clicker. There you go. So this is what is left behind, which is actually a big issue in places like Costa Rica. They don't know what to do with it. They are burning it. Now the chemicals are really being banned. They don't know what to do with these tons and tons of waste. The solution is here. There it goes. So what we're using is the mature leaves because there are more fibers and there are stronger fibers. So the farmers go back into the fields. They gather all the leaves. And they go into this machine, which you can't see very well. It's a decorticating machine. I love the name. What they do is they get a bundle of them. It's like a flywheel, right? So they go zoom, there. First thing done. Oops, sorry, let me go back. That side, you can see the fibers. Then they go zoom the other side. And then you've got your fibers. It's very primitive. It's very low yield. This is all what we had. I just heard from my team in London today that our first decorticated machine, automated, done in China, first prototype, just got to the Philippines, and this is going to be the real breakthrough in this industry, which is fantastic. Yes, I'm so happy. Because I'm going to say very quickly, this is industry. I want this to grow and to go everywhere. We need those fibers, we need an alternative, we need people employment. So this is, I want it big as it can become. And these are the fibers just with chlorophyll. Okay, this is just decorticated. These are lovely people. Usually it's the men that do this job. It's really tough. And these ladies from a social enterprise, very, very poor community, 2 hours more or less from Manila, they said, we can do it. We can do this.
And they can do it. They've been trained by the men, and they're doing it now. And this is quite unique, because it's the first decorticators in the whole world, I'm sure. So this is really very special. So now they're really working on that. They will get the other machines, but this is another extra community getting income from this waste. And then the fibers are washed. Sometimes they wash them in the stream. There is no chemicals, as I said, only chlorophyll, or they have big baths of water where they just wash them. And they're dried in the sun. The most beautiful bleach, the most beautiful agent to clean is the sun. And this is the natural color of the fibers. We have a problem when we don't have the sun, the rainy season. That is another issue that we have to deal with, we are dealing with. They don't dry properly, they get moldy, they get gray. But anyhow, we just have to work on that. We are working with today about 6 different cooperatives. So we work with cooperatives, and Labo Cooperative, and that's Mario, the manager, is the first cooperative we have worked with. Don't forget, these fibers have been used traditionally for 400 years in the Philippines. I didn't discover this is not huge discovery. What I'm doing is transforming something done traditionally into a new industry. That's really the flipping side. And this means that too, you will see at least revenue streams extra for these people, which is really important. Now, the next beauty of this is the biomass. I love biomass as well. Look at that lovely fluffy thing. That's the green stuff, right? This is where all the nutrients of the leaves are. So what do you do once they have been decorticated and fluffed up and everything? We get the fibers, they're dried, etc. But then this can become organic fertilizer. They can mix it with other waste. They can put vermicomposting in it, worms. And in about 3 weeks, you have the most beautiful organic yum. It's absolutely, it feels so beautiful to touch. And the fertilizers are the most expensive thing that these people have to buy. A pineapple is a clone itself. It's a beautiful product. You plant the tops. So this is really another revenue stream, so good for the earth from a waste material. Then we go from the farming communities to industry, right? This is really where it has to go next. We do a degumming process, but I won't go into that. And this is quite special for me because this is about 8 years ago. And this is the first time that I realized that this could become an industry. We were working with the small pieces, doing all the testing, but then we had about probably 500 kilos of fibers. And these industrial machines, they're huge machines, right? They're like 20 meters long, kind of like this, double again. And we thought, well, will it happen? Will it not happen? Because I worked, this is a company in the Philippines that makes non-woven for cars, and it's all polyurethane, it's petroleum-based textile, so they have never touched a natural fiber. So that was a real challenge for them. We had to change needles, timings, it was getting stuck. So this is a huge amount of research behind this soft, fluffy little bit. We made 10 meters, and I realized there, we've got something. We can upscale this thing. I was crying. I can still feel so emotional about this. Breakthrough, we can make it. It was fantastic. So behind any product, you've got so much research, you've got so much thinking, you've got so much trials and errors, and this was one of those, yes, one step forward. Really lovely. Then it goes in big rolls from the Philippines, where we cannot make it because they don't have the technology, into 2 companies that I work with in Spain, just outside Barcelona. One does the finishing, the coating, and the other one does another lovely word, is the tumbling, this huge, again, 20 meters machine. We had to, I'm going to tell you very quickly, we bought it secondhand about 2 years ago. It was in bits, like you talk about probably, I don't know, 10,000 bits. We didn't have the manual. It took us about 10 months. I was blamed every day by my people back in London. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? It's not going to work. All this money. Well, it works and it's beautiful. And what it does is it does this tumbling, breaking down of the fibers, giving it a nice softening. Anyway, this is what it is. And that's the end of the product very quickly. But I want to really show you is this. This to me is the most important part of my work. And this is basically the life cycle, right? And life cycle is what it is. It's about bringing something from there to the end. So very quickly we'll go through that. This is the pineapple production with the pineapples, and this is how it gets, okay, waste already. It goes into this decorticating process, goes into fibers. So, but we go back, we go into biomass, and we can go into here. That biomass can be converted also into biogas. This is energy to close this beautiful cycle. This to me is beautiful. It's heaven. This is the way a product should be thought through. This is designing a product. It's thinking backwards all the time. And what you can give and what you have to, you are responsible for. We are responsible for the whole cycle. If you don't remember anything, just remember this one from my chat, because it's too much to think about with everybody else's. It goes into a degumming process, which is done with enzymes. Then it goes into a mechanical process. So there's no water whatsoever, no chemicals whatsoever to get to that. Then here we've got resins and pigments, so we don't use any water in this process. And then it goes into products. We are developing a bio-based resin at the moment with Stahl, which is one of the biggest chemical companies in the world. It doesn't exist yet, but we are working on it. I think it probably will take us another 6 months to 10 months. It's 1 year we are working in this resin to develop a fully bio-based product, which is really where we are going. I think we all know about circular models and cradle to cradle, which is really my inspiration all the time. And just one little sentence is waste equals food. So the waste from something, which in this case is obviously agriculture, equals food for something else. This is how we have to think. There's no waste in the world. It's silly to think that we have waste. I think I'm not preaching to anybody that doesn't understand that, but that's the reality. And also, again, as we heard all week, it's developing, designing, thinking about a product, taking into account thinking through the 3 pillars of society, which is economics for everybody involved in this supply chain, the social side and the ecological side. And this, again, number 2 or maybe number 1 to think about. That's all you have to remember. This is really important. And we are a brand. So we don't sell anything, we sell Piñatex. And it's nice, most people know Piñatex. But what does mean Piñatex? It's not about these huge campaigns. We don't even have the money for that. Piñatex, it's about what you have seen. That's what it represents. Transparency, a clean, clear supply chain that takes its responsibility. So that is really what Piñatex is about. We've got very limited products, and I like to pass them around later on if we have 5 minutes, just for you to feel it. And the most important thing here is research and development. This is an ongoing, constant. It took me 10 years to get to this, and it will take me whatever to get to the next thing. And research and development means collaboration. We work with the farmers. They know their fibers. They know what it needs to happen. We work with agronomists. We work with chemists. We work with scientists. We have to work with designers. This is what innovation is about. It's about collaboration from all these different fields. It's really this union that we are talking about in here that really makes the difference in a product. So along we can only have this thinking, what if I make a mesh not unlike what leather is with these fibers? That was my thinking 15 years ago. What if, which is a beautiful question. That's how everything starts, what if? But I can't go on my own with what if. We need everything there. And Piñatex is a really wonderful product because it's very versatile. It can have different thicknesses, it can be laser cut, stitches very well, embossed, etc., etc. So it has that potential to bring it out into these big markets that I want to bring it into. Not very sexy, but this is the most important thing again for the product. It is all the technical characteristics. And it has gone through at least 25, and it goes on. Every time we have a batch of fibers, we've got to test them. And this is new. We couldn't even afford to do this 6 months ago. It has to go, the product has to go through tensile, the tear, the stitching, the rubbing, everything that means the product is ready for the market. So a product needs a passport, basically, like we need a passport. It needs the same thing. In this very stringent market, we're not making one-off pieces. We're talking about industry. You really need to make sure that it performs. Otherwise, you don't go anywhere. And the higher you go in the markets, let's say the car industry, we're getting 20 pages of tests, it's unbelievable. We can't do everything today, but that is what the industry needs, so we've got to really make sure that this is part of the development of the product, which is Piñatex. And this is the fun part. This is some of the products. We're a B2B company today. I can't wait maybe in another years to make the product, because I feel that one thing is to make the raw material. I'm not happy with most of the product because they use so much stuff that maybe we don't need to. A product has to be developed for disassembly, and this is the next step. But nevertheless, we've got more demand than supply today. Livia, I've got something. It's one of your photos. I didn't ask for permission, so I'm asking in front of everybody. Thank you.
I was so proud.
Oh, well, okay, thank you. This is terrible to have to tell you here. Anyway, this is the kind of products you can make with Piñatex. And every time we get some of these photographs, my God, look at this. We are getting so excited. This is a new movement. This is a new step for us. Wow, we can make jackets. We can make this. It's really exciting. Shoes, of course. Hey, girls! Fantastic! Yay! Wow, turn around. Fabulous. I love it. Turn around again. Turn around. Fantastic. Well done. Hey, my girl. She's so good, this girl. Oh, fantastic. Look at this. How can you not get excited? Oh, my God. Ah. Well done. The shoe. Give me the shoe. Yeah, give me the shoe too. This is This is another little company in here. It's called, God, excuse me for this, Cruda. Cruda, Pamela. Hey, come here. This is your product. You. I'm so happy. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Thank you. You've got the artists in there. I'm so proud of them. Oh, thank you. I better go quick. I think I haven't got too much time. This is here because it is maybe because it's Hugo Boss. Because one thing is to go from the, startup, these early adopters, they love it, they want it. The vegan community is the fastest growing community in the whole world. Another thing is to get your product with these guys that it takes a year, 20 pages of this and the other. So it worked. They did a limited edition, it's selling very well. This is quite recent. And I'm going to show you a little bit. This is a video how they actually promote and how they represent the new product. So look at what it is. It's not leather. It's not perfect. It's uneven, right? It comes from a natural product. And I'm quite happy with this video because it shows, look guys, okay, this is not perfect. This isn't right for some people's vision, but it's right for the market as well. So this is really, an important thing. Things don't have to look perfect. Things are what they are. Piñatex is Piñatex and that's it. Yeah, so it's... Thank you. So some of other samples. So as I said, it's exciting to see new brands, new people coming, testing. an important thing is that it's a new material. So and I take it personally, I have made bags for 15 years in leather, so I know the difference between one material and the other one, and they think, we can do this, we can do that. No, you can't. Talk to us, and we tell you how to use a new material, which is really, really important as well. Not to really think, I can do this. No, maybe you can't. And I've got a few things like this, not just because we know this lady, and the other one is the King of Sweden, but also because the product, the UK is a very good country for innovation, and this is really what they're promoting a lot at the moment, which is really, really important for companies like us. So we went in Sweden in, I think it was February, and look at that, it's great British design. They know how to do things as well. You know, we're not in the Industrial Revolution. This is the new Industrial Revolution. It's about innovation. So this is to be recognized as innovators is really, it's nice, but it's also what needs to be. We need to innovate with basing, mingling, blending the traditions, what is there with what is new. So again, it's this blending all the time. I think everybody here, or half of the people have been in Copenhagen Fashion Summit, but anyway, it was great for us to be there. This is Livia. Oh my God. And I never had a chance to thank you for one thing. And I tell you what it is. We knew somebody famous was going to wear something, but they never told us anything, of course, right? They were right. 2 hours before you went to the Met, they told us and they sent us a photo, and I went, because I was thinking, oh my God, is it going to work? Is it going to be kind of looking amazing, or is it going to be like a wet drag? Because, no, she looks so beautiful, so thank you. I know, it was Laura. Sorry, she's there. But she didn't tell us anything. She didn't want to say anything. So anyway, thank you for this, to you and to Laura. Thank you. So it's nice to see that. So this is really to show that, you know, every time we see a product out there, wow, this golden stuff, it's really very exciting for us. And it's acknowledging that Piñatex is taken into people's lives, which is really what I think is important. But this is really what Piñatex is about. It's social, economic, and environmental impact. It's made from a waste. It has no chemicals that they are polluting or damaging, and every meter goes back to the producers directly. These fibers are probably the most expensive fibers. I'm not talking about cashmere or something as luxury, but as cellulosic fibers, we're paying about £6 per kilo to the farmers directly. I mean, they're getting about, if a pineapple costs us in Europe about £1 to £3, that's the super expensive. These planters, or I don't know what you call them here, the farmers, they're getting only 10%, right? And we're in the we're in the pineapple country here. This really has to be heard and seen. So this is really as important as the primary product from the pineapple harvest in some countries. And it could be here as well, and I hope it will be one day. And this is the vision, okay, is to meet these challenges that we have today, developing products in which commercial success is integrated with and promotes social and cultural development. This is really the encapsulation of what Piñatex is about. So here we are. The impact is that it is a new, I've got a patent, I'm very proud of that. Not because it's a patent, but that means that, you know, if somebody in China is trying to do the same thing, they can't stop us from doing it. So we can actually pass this knowledge to whoever we want. That, to me, is what a patent is about. There's economic value to all involved, meaning stakeholders, the full supply chain. This is so important, right? And obviously, it's a better use of resources. There is no waste. This is really, you know, every time we look at something like this, hey, what can we do with this? We're in the tropics. There's so much richness in here. And thank you so much.
Thank you. It's time for our 1 hour lunch break. Please be back respectfully for the speakers at 1:45 p.m. Please, at 1:45 p.m. We'll start on time. Thank you. We also invite you to join us for lunch at L'Île de France. You can be part of a conversation with Estefania Lacayo, Director of Latin American Fashion Summit, and Brenda Diaz de la Vega, journalist and consultant for emerging brands. We will be talking about how to succeed in the Latin American fashion industry. The price is of 12,000 colones.
Entonces, él va a poner. Entonces, como yo vi que no estaba respondiendo a la presentación, pero si te interesa, puede ser una ventana de visibilidad muy interesante.
Disculpen, señores del escenario, necesitamos trabajar, por favor, vayan a almorzar. Hasta luego. Hasta luego, buen provecho.
No.
Sí, baby. In English, we kindly appreciate if you.
We kindly appreciate if you can leave the front space. The gentlemen need to work. And for preparations of the upcoming speeches and talks. Thank you for your cooperation. ¿Cómo estuvo eso? Gracias. Súper bien.